What's the safest path to opening up a shop? Is it going through the banks, getting a loan, borrowing a bunch of money, or is it relying on your client base to sustain you, your personal life, your business, and everything else you got to take care of? I can tell you I did the latter. I was nervous to take out a loan and go through a bank and then sign a lease. In the area that we work in, it is standard that we sign 5-year leases. So I was terrified to open up a shop in an area that I was unfamiliar with because I had just moved out here. I was terrified of the prospect of, if it failed, owing a bank X amount of dollars and then also still owing the landlord for 5 years, on a lease. So I chose to grassroots my endeavor. Now, truth be told, a lot of things worked out in my favor for this to happen, namely COVID. I hate to say it because a lot of people lost their livelihood and their homes and businesses, and a handful of people even lost their lives. So I do not want to make light of the fact that COVID was a bad deal for most Americans, hell, most people in the universe. However, COVID really kind of, blessed me in the game. I bought my home in November of 2019, and in February of 2020, COVID shut everything down. I had just recently left a shop that I was at for a year and a half. I actually left that shop in February. Opened up a shop in Katy. I managed it and I helped open it up. That didn't work out. COVID hit. I was cutting out of my garage by the end of February. Now, I already had a bunch of clients, but when COVID hit and my partner saw how many people were coming to my garage, she was like, yo, you need to open up your own shop. And with her blessing and her confidence, that's what I aim to do. Now, another thing that worked out in our favor, again, as morbid and as tragic as this sounds, but her father died. Um, it is not as bad as it sounds, but it did help us. She's not close with her father, but she did get an inheritance. Now, she anticipated her inheritance was going to be super, substantial. Unfortunately, she only got a fraction of what she was anticipating. But that was pretty much just enough for us to get our foot in the door as far as the down payment they were asking for. Now, another reason why COVID was a win for us was because businesses were shutting down. Businesses were that they were in need of leniency from the landlords, and future business owners were gun shy. They were afraid to take the leap during COVID. So we were in a situation where we were able to negotiate with a landlord in our favor because businesses were gun shy. I also learned from the property manager that they had turned down barbershops in the past because they never felt it was a good bet bringing in a barbershop, that type of establishment, to their strip malls just because of bad experience in the past. So being that COVID really kind of had them wondering when their next, deal was going to close, it was just a perfect storm of events for us to get into ownership. Now, I had a really big clientele. Now, when I crunched the numbers, I knew that I was going to have to sustain the shop out of my own pocket. I knew that I was going to have to pay my mortgage out of my own pocket. I knew that I was going to pay my car payment and all of the things that it takes to be Sean every day, every month, every year. Now, because I track my data, I know how much money I make every day, every week, every month, every year. I was able to establish a trend. And based on my trajectory, based on all the numbers, based on how much money I make every day, every month, every week, every year, I knew that I could afford to pay the bills out of pocket if we never had any barbers. And that's exactly what I did, because it took us 3 months before we got our first barber. And then I want to say a week after we got our first barber, we got our second barber. And then a month after we got our second barber, he quit. And then we got our third barber. And so, but either way, there were so many ebbs and flows. I knew that no matter what happened, I was responsible for the bills. Now, my partner at the time was not at all in the industry. She was a silent partner. She just helped get us off the ground. She had no intentions of cutting hair. She had a full-time job in Pasadena that is literally on the other side of Houston from where we're located. She helped me do the build out. She helped me manage the shop on the weekends and keep it clean and, keep hair swept up. But ultimately, she had no intention of cutting hair. I actually talked her into cutting hair after a year of us being open, after she saw how much money I was making, and after she saw how high our turnover was. And it became apparent to her the reason that people were not successful is because they weren't there. And so I gave her the confidence that I was going to help her figure out how to be successful. Sure shit, 3 years later, she's been cutting hair. She's the second busiest barber in my shop. I digress. The point I'm making is I can only tell you from my experience what I think is a good or a bad idea. I think it is a terrible idea to finance a barbershop because you have the overhead costs that aren't going to go away. If you add a loan to that equation, and you don't have reliable barbers, if you don't have, consistent foot traffic, though, there's so many factors. I personally, from a guy that's done it, and listen, this has been difficult. I cannot tell you that this is the easiest thing I've ever done, but I'm built for it. And if you really, 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 really want to own a barbershop, then you need to own it. And I feel like financing it is not owning it. There are so many variables and factors that go into this that don't make sense for you to take an added risk of borrowing money. You will go through periods where you will be full. And you will also go through periods where you may only have one or two barbers on staff. So your financial situation needs to be strong enough to sustain yourself if and when those peaks happen. Those valleys happen, because they will. I promise. Now, my situation is slightly different because I'm an outsider. I'm not from Houston. I moved here 7 years ago. A year and a half after moving here, I opened up my shop. I opened up my shop 45 minutes away from where I first became a barber. So I lucked out. I had such strong client retention, and my clients rock with me so tough that I was able to open up a shop so far away from where I started, and most of my clients supported me. Now, there's another part of the story that I left out. During COVID, as some of you might remember, shops shut down. So when I first left my shop, I lost a large percentage of my clients. But what happened was a few weeks after I left, COVID shut all the shops down. Most of the barbers in the shop that I was working at got scared. They were scared of COVID. They didn't want to or need to cut hair while COVID was going on. They had other options. So for the few that did remain barbers, they were either price gouging, or they were price gouging and they were only doing house calls. They didn't want COVID to come to their house, so they were going to people's houses. What happened then was, because barbershops shut down and less barbers were cutting, a lot of the clients that said that they couldn't afford to follow me because of the distance and the long in the logistics, a lot of them came back to me because I was still their best option. So my retention went my retention got even better. So I went from having, a decent client base to literally almost getting all of my clients back. In addition to that, I was in that new shop for about 30 days. And when I tell you I was in that parking lot bringing in new clients on a daily basis, I pulled 60 new clients out of the parking lot at the shop that I managed for literally 3 months. And I ended up bringing all of those people to my new location, because my new location was right next to or around the corner from the shop that I managed for a brief while. So all of those things, helped make me super successful. So I would say this, as a guy that's done it in a day and age where barbers are charging more than they should, and the economy and inflation, all the inflation, all of these things are making people and families be a little bit more frugal and intentional with their, with the money that they spend. I don't recommend anybody take out a loan to open up a shop. Here's the other reason. I'm trying to open up my second location and I'm well qualified. I have excellent credit. I from Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, my lowest credit score is a 793. My highest credit score is an 804. I have excellent credit. I make a really good income. I claim all of my money on taxes. So I'm not just telling you I make good money. I can actually show banks I make good money. And I just applied for a business. Oh, my business credit is excellent. In 4.5 years, I have never paid my rent late. In 4.5 years of owning a shop, I have never paid any of my utilities late. I have never paid my credit card bill late. I have no debt. Every month, my credit card balance is zero. I never go into the next month with a balance. And for whatever reason, I can't get financing for enough money to do a build out for another location. I'm well qualified. I'm well qualified as a person, as a just a regular citizen, and I have a well my I have excellent credit from my business perspective. And I my personal debt, only thing I got is my student loans, and that's like less than $20,000. So I carry no debt. But what landlords in like really good strip malls they want to see, if you aren't a big box brand, if you aren't a Sport Clips or a Great Clips or a Supercuts or some national brand, then they want to see that you have a ton of assets. My only asset is my home, and I just bought it. So I don't have a ton of equity in my home, but like some of these like less prestigious, low visibility strip malls, they'll take anybody. But if you want to be in a situation where you're starting to become really profitable and successful, you want to get into those flagship strip malls where there's a Target nearby, or a Walmart, or an HEB, or, a Kroger or something like that. Those strip malls are asking for way more credibility than I have. So I'm telling you, you have to be able to bankroll your business out of pocket because the game has changed. Too many barbershops have opened and closed prior to their lease expiring. Too many businesses have shut down before their leases expired. In my strip mall alone, there has been a pizza place that shut down, then a coffee place came in and took over a lease and shut down. My next door neighbor was a med spa. They just shut down last week. All of these businesses came in after my shop did. We all signed 5-year leases. None of them were able to fulfill their lease. This isn't a flex. I am not at all bragging. I am telling you that banks are less likely to do business with small businesses because of how many of us are overestimating our ability to be successful. Landlords are becoming more rigid about who they're doing business with, especially in the barber game, because too many of us barbers don't fully understand what success looks like. We don't understand how to put a proper business plan, business model, sustainable business out there. And too many of us are comfortable, if it's not working, to just shut it down. If you're going to open up a shop, you have to accept the fact that you are probably going to struggle for a very long time until you get the right staff with the right attitude. Everybody's pulling in the same direction and you guys all share the same vision. Because in my area alone, several shops have opened and closed in the time I've been out here. Just last in the last since basically January 1, there's been 4 barbershops to my knowledge that have shut down. And I'm only hearing about this because we're getting an influx of clients that used to go to this shop, but it shut down, or went to this shop, but it shut down, or went to that shop, but it shut down. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Let me know if you guys are business owners are or intend to be business owners, what your path was or what your path is going to be. I'd love to hear from you. I am Sean Cuss Agent on social media. I know this was a long ass video, but this is a topic that I'm so passionate about because I want to help people avoid pitfalls. I stream Thursday through Monday on TikTok, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, sometimes Facebook, and more recently Instagram. Sean Cuss Agent on social media. This video was taken from my second perspective on TikTok at Tiger Cuts. Please follow, share, comment, DM me if you'd rather talk privately. I appreciate your time. Let all the buttons, all the things. Y'all have a good one.